Welcome to the Sunday Comics Brunch, where we dine on comics and comics headlines, hosted by Mr. Andersin and Meredith Loughran. Join them and their guests as they go over the comics headlines from this week and their projects, brought to you by the Comics News Wire and Geek Insider. Warning and disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this live feed are those of the guests, speakers, and/or hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, official policies, ethics, or positions of the content providers, advertisers, additional hosts, and/or guests, hosting sites, groups, or entities attached to this programming. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday Comics Brunch. I am Meredith, and I'm waiting for Rob to pop in here. And so it is, the weekend after the Thanksgiving. Have you recovered from your turkey coma?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm getting to the age where I think I might not be able to do as much turkey anymore. I'm just not where I used to be in life. It take a lot of turkey, but now I'm under the table. It's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, not an ugly. It could be an ugly thing. Actually, I didn't do turkey at all this year. It was just a regular day. I kind of did my work online. I don't wait for Thanksgiving to do turkey dinner, so it's kind of funny. Let me see here. I thought we had a different background for our. There it is. We're just gonna add.
Oh, I put that one up just for when we start the show. So when you put out, the table is showing and all that, and then we switch to.
So pretty. So yeah, I put out some invitations for people. Some of them were last minute. So if we don't have anybody, it's just gonna be you and me, and maybe we'll just keep it, kind of close to an hour or less. Depends on the news.
Well, everyone, people show up. This is one of those shows where people are like, oh, I have something to say, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. But it's one of those shows where you never sit alone. And that's kind of cool about it.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, just for the listening audience, is talk about Bagger Paws. Now, that has been moved to a different day, yes?
Yeah, we're going to try out Tuesdays. One of the reasons we're going to Tuesdays is I've always typically had a show on Tuesdays, and for a very long time, I probably I'm trying to invite people. I'm talking to you. I wanted to do it on Wednesdays, but New Comic Book Day. That's kind of I realized recently. Not only was it New Comic Book Day, but now it's trying to tell you to invest in comics. It was almost like two different gears. Go buy real comics that are in print, not real, but like really already done. I mean by that, then you have to go back a comic, which isn't necessarily always real yet. It still has to be developed. It still hasn't made it to the world because some people are pitching ideas. That's what I meant by real. If you follow my method, your book's 75% done. And really, it's just the ancillary that you're doing. The book's already been edited. You're lettering it. Maybe you have a final look, and maybe you're coloring it. The line art should be done. The script should definitely be done. Mm-hmm. So I figured putting it on Tuesdays, because Monday we've always talked about there being some sort of show. We haven't done one lately just because the news hasn't been there. But me and Meredith already talked about maybe putting the interviews on there during the December month, because we want to get back to doing some interviews. Some of them might be on Geek Insider. It might not be at 11 a.m. Not everything. We chose 11 a.m. just because I figured it invited the most audience. But we get a lot of views after the fact. So there might be some interviews that I help out with Geek Insider. Me and Meredith talked about this. Because it's never about ego for me. It's always about what works best for everybody. And that's why I try to involve everybody. Meredith has seen me try. I spend too much time in my life, and even Meredith has said this, trying to get people to care more about helping other people. It's just a quirk of mine. And I try to get people to be as active as I can with helping their fellow people. But you're not always going to win those battles. So I've seen a couple losses. But when it comes to me, and Meredith, I hope Meredith agrees with this, my ego comes out very rarely when it comes to comic books. There are things I know I'm good at, like stories and particular editing and reasons why I get stuck in the mud. And then you have to convince me to come out of my mud. But for the most part, it's just about you guys. It's about the people who tune into this show, the viewers. What's the best show we can give you? I don't care what time I go live, as long as it doesn't like the reason I don't do a lot of the Indie Vault programming now, for those who don't know, Jax had a very difficult time transitioning back to school. And it's a lot earlier than it was last year. We went from dropping him off just about at 9 o'clock in the morning to him having to be at school about 7:40. So that's a huge difference. Everything changed suddenly for him. I had to back away from everything. And Meredith knows this. I basically have a cutoff. I do the You're Not Alone, and then that's it. It's Jax time. And I usually do that coming back from my physical therapy, because Jax needs his dad to cuddle with him and to show him love and give him that time he needs, especially after school. And all of that is really mounted to a better outcome for him being in school, because, you know, he spent so much time at home with me. He got used to it. And then suddenly he was ripped away from me, and he's around all these other people, and he was like, what's going on? So I usually try to get everything done by about 7 o'clock in the evening. And I know it makes me sound ancient, but when you have a 5-year-old, you do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean occasionally I might not go a little later in the day, but yeah, I mean, it's all about you guys. Those of you who show up to watch these shows, that's why I do them. I don't do them for ego. If I wanted to do an entire show, and tomorrow I was actually going to talk to Meredith, I think we should try to do like a Cyber Monday thing, because that tomorrow is going to be Cyber Day, right? And it sounds so weird.
Cyber Monday, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should do that. Invite some creators out. I'll pitch some stuff. I actually have some graphics I was making. That's where I kind of got lost today. Meredith is messaging me, are we doing the brunch? I was like, I think so. I don't know. Don't bother me. I'm creating stuff. Shh.
Yeah. We should all be creating stuff. You know, I just I sent C. Michael Lanning the story, and basically I wrote it out in prose based on characters that he had in his head, and you know, he knows what he's going to draw. He has kind of a vision in his head. He just kind of needed that story outline. So I sent that over to him. He's going to draw that up when he can, because I know he's under tight deadlines. Otherwise, he would be here. But and then, you know, once the art's done, we're going to go back in and make sure that the script is tight, you know, and kind of fill in the blanks and stuff. So it's really exciting, that process. We're doing something that I've never done. I don't know that he's ever done it. So I guess you would call that the Marvel way. Yeah.
You're getting close to it. Generally, the Marvel way is I have an idea. This is my idea. Artist, here's the random. It's like you give the artist a prose. So like you did, you wrote out a story, you gave it to him and said, show me what you want to do with it. Yeah. The only difference with the Marvel way is that usually there's a little less back and forth, believe it or not. Like, I think that you're taking the Marvel way, the way I do it, the interpretation of working step by step, page by page, where literally Stan Lee would give, okay, this is going to happen this issue. This is what I want to see. We're going to be battle. They're going to go back and forth. And here's the basic idea of the story. And then Stan would come back and letter it after the art was done, which I think is a testament to how amazing he was as a creator. Mm-hmm. You know, like, wow, he could go back in later and do that. And I mean, I've gone in to edit my script during the lettering because the artist changes certain things. So I've played with it. And that's why the one reason I like to letter is that reason. I get to be the last one to touch it. I'm getting to a point where I'm definitely going to probably start using more letterers as we're getting busier. And it's not even my projects we're working on now. Mm-hmm. So I'll work with the letter, and the letter is going to think I'm a pain in the ass at first, but then when they get used to me, they'll be fine because I'll go back and forth. A lot of letterers, and I'll say this, you guys just take whatever's to be lettered and you don't make suggestions. Anytime I've lettered anyone's books, I've done a lot more than most know. I've brought back suggestions immediately. I've been like, hey, you know, this doesn't sound right. This would work better this way. And, you know, you get instantly in a room with a writer, and the writer goes, well, I don't understand. Why would we change it? I'm like, read it out loud. And they're like, oh. He's like, oh, thanks. Because at first, as a writer, and I've been there, someone says something about what you're writing, and you're like, how dare you? Unless it's like an obvious error. But like,
that's even true. That's true to prose, too. I always read my stuff out loud because that's how the dialogue flows. And if it's choppy and you're tripping over your own mouth to get the words out, you need to make some changes. And so that's really important as far as any kind of writing, any kind of dialogue, narration, anything like that. If you can imagine that somebody else is reading your stuff, especially if maybe somebody picks it up and they want to do a screenplay or something, those words have to flow. Somebody's going to be reading them and narrating, very important.
I completely agree with you on that. Ooh, I'm just about to burp. I caught it in time. You guys don't want to hear belching.
Let it rip.
This isn't Rick and Morty. So one of the things that I do think is interesting right now that we're seeing with creators is suddenly like everyone wants to be a salesman. It's weird because it's like Black Friday. Okay, everyone sell your books. And you see how many people, Pops is here if you want to invite him in.
Pops, come on in. We haven't heard from you in a long time.
I think he's actually going to do something about what I'm about to talk about, the elevator pitches. So I saw he had tagged me in something. I hadn't got around to it this weekend. I apologize for that. I know he had tagged me in something. I looked at it real quick. It didn't have my name directly on it. So I'm like, okay, there's not a fire here I need to put out. I'll look at this later. And it's in because I have like an Apple, you have a notepad. So I put things in the notepad. And usually Monday mornings I'm doing that. But if Pops wants to come in, he can talk about it.
Yeah, should I drop this StreamYard link public?
Yeah,
whoever wants to pop in.
Kick people out who suck.
That's true.
If you suck, we kick you out. We have the rule.
Hey, I can do that. So
yeah, I do it to people all the time when they disagree with me. There have been so many guests we had that lasted only so long until they just I'm kidding. I'm kidding. As long as you're respectful, the pair method. It's always about the pair method. Be respectful, and you will find a lot of respect in this world from us.
Well, speaking of the pair, do you have that in this room? We can play that.
I should have it in. If it's not, it's in the other room.
Alrighty. Yeah, I mean, now I am waiting for the ink for the last 3 pages of my book, which is kind of a horror, some kind of like quasi-zombie kind of book, which I'm really excited about. I am loving the artwork by Antonio Brandao, and so I'm waiting for the ink on that. Lettering is happening. I'm trying it. I'm making my first attempt. And I said, I might as well give it a shot because I'm trying to learn this process, and Rob keeps taking the comic noob title away from me. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I don't have to be a pro at all of these steps, but I want to know how they work.
You sound like the virgin who's literally trying to explain why they're not a virgin anymore. No, wait.
I'd be a virgin except for the last 3 kids that I had, right?
I'm a virgin because it didn't go in the way I wanted it to at the angle. I'm still trying.
So quite honestly, I will probably release that title when I deliver a book. And so, I've got 2 pages that are going into Luke Stone's book, Hybrids, the Sons of Gods. And I'm really excited about that. That is my first official comic credit. And I cannot wait until I have that book in my hand. But this one is just, okay, this is my story. I scripted it. I'm going to try and letter it. In this process, not with my own stuff, but, I've tried flatting. And, I have Photoshop experience. So, why not? Would I consider myself a colorist? No, there's a lot of depth and stuff like that. I don't consider myself that much of an artist to even try and attempt that. I can flat, but I'm not going to say I'm going to color. Maybe later. And there are other things that I want to try. I want to try the lettering. I am already editing. I edit stories all the time. So, is it a comic book script? Not necessarily, but I do have editing credits, so why not? Why not comic book scripts? So there's a lot of things that I'm doing. I want to learn the ins and outs of this, and I respect it as a business as well. So I'm putting together my own crowdfund for a book. It's an anthology, but those stories in that anthology are being scripted out to become comic books. So I'm hoping that by doing this promo, by doing this process and sharing that I'm kind of bringing my worlds of prose writers and comic book fans kind of together and see. So it's really a fun process, but I am on a learning curve every single day. So it's a little bit exhausting too.
I'll be honest though, no, kidding around aside, we're all still learning. This industry is going to change all the time. It's never going to stay stagnant. There's always new things that we're doing. And I've said this, one of the earliest mistakes I made in my career was I came in with all these brand new ideas of things I wanted to do. So I was going to do my lettering much differently than anyone else had ever done it before. The one problem I forgot was that you kind of have to almost prove you can do something before you can start doing it differently.
Yeah.
So I didn't instantly go out of the gate and decide and do that where I kind of changed up how I, look, I can do it, but I'm going to do it my way. Wasn't how I did it. I did it like, this is the new way. And this is like I was the Mandalorian. This is the way.
Yeah.
And everyone suddenly had to follow me. So you have to be careful when you're starting out not to get too ahead of yourself. Prove that you have the skill. Because a lot of people, when they asked me to do work, because everyone saw the original lettering I was doing, they're like, ooh, Rob does this weird lettering. Pops is here, by the way, Meredith.
Yeah, let's add him to the stream here. Hey, Pops.
What's going on? So just and I'll let Pops introduce himself. You have to prove you know what you're doing. And the minute you prove you know what you're doing, people don't care what you do next. They really don't. They're in for it. And don't make that mistake in your career. Like Meredith is saying, learn it all. All the things she said she learned, I learned how to do. I have an artist credit. I've flattened. I've even colored pieces of art. And I wasn't horrible at coloring. I could have done it more, but you're one person, and you can only do so much. And because my art sucks, and I'm not trying to be an artist, and I colorist, I can't see doing a coloring with the neck injury I have. Because both coloring and lettering, and I'm sure you're realizing this, lettering hurts your neck. Because you're almost like this on top of your screen at times, and you back off. But by the time I letter a few pages, I have a migraine going, and I have to walk away. So unless I have those, every so often I get these like magical days where I get so obsessed with work, I forget about the pain, and I can just work. And then the next day I can't move. So what's going on, Pops? Tell them what's going on.
Just, getting ready to do PromCon 9. Like you said, the elevator pitch.
Yeah, I saw that, which I thought was interesting because I'd been talking a lot about the lack of people knowing how to do a proper elevator pitch and how disappointed I was. Me and Meredith were even talking, we were reading in the news the other day, and we told everyone to give us an elevator pitch, and they gave us a paragraph that really didn't tell us anything. People are so eager to sell things that they don't realize. My book's like Scooby-Doo meets the alien invasion crew meets Birdman, and you're like, how do you make that happen? And sometimes that can be good. Leaving a person a question can be a good thing. But for you in elevator pitches, why did you choose that topic? So I'm curious about that.
Well, it's not so much that it's the topic, it's that I wanted everybody to come out and give their elevator pitch. It's December. I'm not doing a 2-day con. Nobody's going to sit around and watch me for 2 days. They got things to do, So we're doing a 1-day, 15-minute time slot. You come out, you tell who you are, you give us your elevator pitch, and we go on to the next person. We're going to try to get as many people in as we can on December 5th, next Saturday, 1 day. And right now, scheduling, we only got like 4 spots left. But we also broke it up. We have a panel between 4 and 6 p.m. Eastern. And another panel again at 9 o'clock till whenever, So we broke it up with some panels so we can also talk about it too. Brian K. Morris kind of blew up my inbox talking about what he wants to say. So he's going to talk about the topic. I'm sure some of the people will talk about elevator pitches, and some people will give their elevator
actual pitch.
So it should be interesting. It's just like I said, something different. I only wanted to do 1 day. I didn't want to tie everybody up. I didn't want to tie myself up, my co-host, my tech guy. Let's just do 1 day, and then in January we'll just have a big old something totally different bash. you know, to
Well,
to leave 2020 in the past.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's get 2020 behind us, please.
Two things. Meredith, can you send me this background while you're at your computer?
This one?
Yeah, I'll show
For the
you. I'll
weekend?
show you why at the end. Because I want to try to make a ball into the Sunday Comics Brunch thing, and you'll see why in a minute. But to Pops's point, I think the worst thing creators do, honestly, is their pitches. I have listened to some creators who are absolutely amazing, and half of them who have no clue what their book is really about when it comes to their pitch. Like
Right.
they don't know how to pitch their own book, and it's funny to watch it because they're the creator. They've created the work. You think they'd be the first person in the world to be able to do a pitch, and they really do struggle with that. Have you noticed that, guys, in general? Because both of you deal with a lot of creators like I do. Have you noticed that creators have a tendency to struggle with their own words to explain what they're doing?
You know what's totally great is I've watched some people totally grow into promotional machines from because they've been forced to, you know, and they've gotten really good at it. And some people are learning. For me, the tips are more in the like when they put a video together and it's got text and music, but no sound, no audio. You know what I mean? Nobody narrating, telling what's going on. Those kind of things. If you're going to make a video, make a real video. Make one that's got everything. It's got your music that you want to highlight or whatever, but also somebody saying those words, that text that's going across the screen. Not everybody can see, not everybody can hear. Let's make sure we cater to everybody, you know, make sure everybody gets. And then in you guys' case, like Indie Bolt, those people aren't watching, they're listening. Give them something to listen to. When you guys are showing a video of somebody's book and it's just music and text, those people on the radio ain't getting nothing out of that.
No, I agree with you. We do back applause, and now we actually just mute the music and talk over it. If you're going to... Go ahead, Meredith.
Yeah, I was going to say to what Pops is saying, it takes practice. You don't come out of the gate knowing what the heck you're doing. You know, it takes practice. You have to practice in the mirror. You have to get on these shows. You have to practice your pitch. And you have to have your ears wide open to anybody who is trying to help you become a better speaker and learn how to pitch. I'm still terrible at it. And part of the reason why is because I am usually very uncomfortable with self-promotion. I'm getting better at it because I want to sell books, but I'm usually a much louder bullhorn for other people. It's always been that way. I'm trying to break that habit.
But like you said, it's not an easy thing. I mean, I've helped other people with it. I have a very good knack with it. There's just something about creating the wordplay with it. As a writer, I enjoy it. So I find it fascinating just to play with it. You know what I mean? Like I'm always, and Meredith has seen me throw new pitches out of nowhere just to do it, just to practice the idea of a brand new pitch that I haven't done before. And it's really just that, guys. It's having fun with it. If you have fun with what you're talking about, it really shines through. And then suddenly people are like, oh, wow, look at that. Look how excited. You know, like half of my pitches, like 50 Shades of Grey. If it was written by an adult who knew what they were talking about, it makes people stop and laugh. Because whether you like 50 Shades of Grey or not, everyone's heard the joke about it being an SVU at this point and the debate about it. So if you can make something funny, stop. Like the kids' book. I teach morals with farts. Parents, stop. You want something that makes a person stop and say, tell me more. Not so confused that you might lose some people and be like, oh. I try not to do a lot of comparisons with my pitches. You know, even when we did the Advocator, in which I'm now going to put onto Terraform Creations, brand new project, Terraformed Continuum, we have the new, and we'll talk about what that is in just a second. That's a little thing. We have the brand, the slogan of, I know we have to do a bump. It is the poo-poo platter of indie comics. And when you do things like that and you find a way to make a person get involved because you want them invested, they'll go further. And that's all a pitch is. It's like, I hate to put it this way, but it's just like when you hit on someone, you want them interested in you, so they keep talking. That's all it really is. So go ahead, Meredith, take your bump. When we get back, I do want to talk about Leanne N's question.
Yes, I was going to say, as soon as we do the bump, we'll address that. We'll be right back.
Check it out. MobileEdge.com has award-winning products with innovative features and contemporary, edgy designs that empower you to look sharp and travel smart with your mobile tech. Your beloved, not to mention expensive gaming gear and mobile tech devices are an extension of you, so give them the protection and style they deserve wherever you go. Find them at MobileEdge.com and protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Bring it on. Hey Geek Insiders, Mobile Edge has a special coupon code for our dedicated listeners. Get 25% off your Mobile Edge gear using coupon code GEEK25. That's GEEK25. Geek out.
All right, we're back, and let's pop up. I'm going to try this name. Lalaine Anis has a great question. When we want to write comics, so what things should we focus on to make it extra exciting and about its artwork too? It's a little choppy with the question, but let's try and unpack that a little bit.
Well, it starts with passion, I'd say. If you're not passionate about what you're creating, it's going to show through. So the first thing you have to do is want to do it. And you see that, I think, a lot with the Marvel and DC, and I think a lot of people discredit this too often. When you're seeing these books, everyone's like, oh, they're trying to change comics. No, they're trying to write what's passionate to them. You might not like what they're creating, but to them, that is the end-all and be-all of what they wanted to create. That's why I always say I don't like the idea, but let's see how they come across. Because if I don't like an idea and then they can make it something that I enjoy, I'm impressed by them. So that's proper writing. I can even not like a story, but be impressed by the writing and follow that writer. So it really comes down to, for your question, what do you want to draw? You're one in 100 billion people that will ever exist in the world. So it's about you. What's in your mind? How have you seen the world? As a creator, what you do next is what you see. Do not try to follow trends. Trends are dangerous. Trends can leave you unemployed, dissatisfied. None of my books were for trends. If you look at my books, they're the exact opposite of trends. Not even on purpose, but just at the moment it was. The Advocator was the closest thing that came to trends, and there were things about it I didn't like that I won't be doing when it comes to the Continuum. Some of those things of chasing trends were one of them. I don't like chasing trends. I think that you set the trends. And if you're lucky enough, you get a following of people who are like Cat Dad and Supermom. That was one of those things where, it just blew up. It became its own thing suddenly. That happens. I'll be honest. I thought my Monsters book was always going to do better than it did. It was this beautiful watercolor book. At that point, no one was doing watercolor painted comics. It was this unique thing, and it was just a small niche of people. And I've had people on the show, and I think Pops has watched the show where I was my fetish book was called a niche book. Anyone who's seen me in public will see my book is not a niche book. People stop, except for my local show. Fort Myers, I cannot sell fetish books to save my life. And that explains my dating life. I can't even talk about it. But no, it's true. It's you don't know what it's going to be till you put it out there, so you cannot stop and even worry about that. Create what you're going to create. Hope you don't invest a lot of money into it if it bombs, but put it out there because you never know. What bombs today, 10 years later, can get picked up. Remember, a lot of these TV shows that you're hearing about, they're like hits, like The Preacher. No one was really talking about The Preacher for years, and then suddenly everyone's a fan of The Preacher. You know what I mean? And that's what happens. That's what happens. Sometimes these books, they get on the right person's desk, and then once if you get a lot of people talking about something, people want to be part of it. It's the sheep mentality of humanity, and it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes we do flock to things that are great, and we see what other people are doing. That has helped us survive. Understand that's an instinct. There's an instinct inside of us to follow all the other humans because it's a survival instinct. So if you can get to be part of something that is a trend by yourself, you can do great things. Go ahead, Meredith.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I write for me. I write with no expectations, okay, that anybody else is going to read my stuff or appreciate it. I do that because it's got to get out of my head. Otherwise, I'll go insane. But I do that because these are the stories that maybe it'll be a legacy thing. Who knows? Do my kids pay attention to the stuff that I do? Probably not. But, I do it because it is self-satisfying for me to get those stories out. Can I draw? I can draw. Can I do sequential art? No. But I haven't really tried. I'm doing those things for me. And I think it takes a certain amount of bravery to let your baby go out into the world and let people either, appreciate it or tear it down. I mean, that takes some vulnerability to do that and a little bit of bravery. So every piece of art that we put out now, if you've been doing it for a long time, then you're like, it's just another thing, but when you're coming out of the gate, it's really hard to take that next step. There are a lot of people who start and never finish, so credit to all the people, all the writers, the artists, any of the content creators that are out there that actually finish the job and let it go.
One of my favorite quotes when it comes to self-promotion and just like what you're talking about, what you were saying about putting your work out there, in the immortal words of Neil Peart, yes, they've always told you selfishness was wrong. Yet it was for me, not you, that I came to write this song. Do it for you. Share it with us.
Mm-hmm.
That's straight up. Do it for yourselves. Give us what's in you, because that's what we want. We don't want, we want you guys to give us your best. As fans, I'm a fan. Everybody has to understand that. I'm not a creator. I'm not an artist. I'm not a writer. I'm a fan. And we need to be fed, So just keep doing what you're doing. All you creators, give us what is inside you. That's, that's what we've been living off all our lives.
And one of the things that you can take Rob's Kickstarter video when he did Cat Dad and Supermom, where the beginning was like, buy. It was this huge pitch, and there was nothing that made that emotional connection. And then when he put that down and he took his glasses off and he looked in the camera and he talked about Jax, I was like, holy crap, take my money. Because we want to make those connections. We want to feel good about what we're buying. We want to feel good about the person that we are helping to support. So, when you're doing those pitches, and we've got a couple comments up here. John Celestri, thank you for tuning in. Pitching is the hardest thing to do for a creator. It is, because most of the time they want to create. They don't want that whole business of promoting themselves, because that's hard work and it takes away from the creative process. Cameron, Christopher Payne, thank you for tuning in. Public speaking is an issue sometimes. It really is. Communication is a good thing if you can communicate. And those are things that we have to practice. We have to work on those because it is a skill. You don't come out of the gate knowing exactly how to do it. Some people are better speakers than others. It took me a long time because a lot of times I might stutter. Maybe you don't see that right now because I've been practicing. I'm in the in front of the camera. I do a lot of reading. I read out loud because of my own work, So it takes practice to do that. Let's see. John Celestri, artist creators draw, most express themselves with their drawings. Absolutely. And then Cameron says, don't limit yourself. Never limit yourself. If you do, then you're kind of clipping your own wings. Let's see. And I hope I didn't massacre your name. Lalaine Anise, all of you gave such amazing advice. A big thanks for that. Yeah, what we can say is just keep doing what you do. Follow your passion, follow your heart. And if you can monetize that later on, even better. but don't come out of the gate expecting anything. You have to pay your dues,
You sell your first book on Word on your pitch. You sell your first book that way. Your second book is going to sell on how good your first book was.
Very true thing. That's why with Fetish Babies, I actually had a rare book where the second book did better than the first book. Like we had a few less backers, which you expect. Your first book's always going to get the most amount of backers until you build a bigger name. But the second book actually did really well for a short Kickstarter because people really liked the story, and that's a very true comment. And it's pressure actually. There's pressure to do better, but you can't let anything. When you just sit down and you create, you do your own thing. And Jaxie apparently is home, so I'm going to step away for a minute because it's about to get loud. But I'll be here. You just won't hear me for a minute.
Okay. Well, I've got another comment here. Cameron Christopher Payne says, I literally hate the sound of my voice. Limited myself instead of getting a story when doing music. I get that. In my previous life, I was a professional singer, so I would go and sing for funerals and weddings and other events and things like that. Plus I was a paid church singer, and listening back, I'm okay with that. It took me a long time to be okay with my own voice. I think most of us don't really like the sound of our own voice.
I got it from the best. Okay. When there was a short period in my life when I was younger where I was a sidekick on Z-Rock for a great DJ named Rob Flanick. And everything he taught me about, don't worry about how you sound. It's what you say.
Yes.
Don't worry about how you sound. It's what you say. And he got me over that, where it was to the point where he would be doing his show, and I would got to the point where I was totally comfortable just popping in with side comments, cracking jokes in the background. I got to that point, and then when I started doing this, it was kind of easy because all those lessons he taught me were all still here. Don't worry about what you sound like. They're listening to what you say.
Get out of your head. And here's the reason why. If you listen to any animation or narration or even commercials, you recognize people's voices. Susan Sarandon, Morgan Freeman.
Oh yeah.
Those voices, I'm sure at some point when they were beginning their career, they're like, you want my voice? I hate my voice. Well, it's not about you liking your own voice. It's what you are telling other people, to what Pops was saying. So yeah, get over it, get out of your head, and just create, do what it is. If you find that you are giving yourself those limits, then what's the point? You might as well just put down your pencils and put away, your writing equipment and all of that stuff. I mean, why then?
It's definitely about what you're saying, because come on, Donald Duck, man, that voice ain't easy to understand, but people want to know what he's saying. You see what I'm saying? It's the words, it's the actual communication. It's not the sound of it. There's great actors out there with the wackiest voices. Come on. People don't care what they sound like. That's part of their image now. That's part of who they are. That makes them who they are. Pesci. Joe Pesci. That little dude, come on. It's his voice. It's his attitude. That's what made that. So
Samuel L. Jackson, his voice right out the door. As soon as you hear it, oh, yep. It's like drop an F-bomb for me.
But some of them aren't even great voices. Like, it's who they are. They made that voice into something.
Yeah.
Jeez. Gilbert Gottfried, for crying out.
Oh God.
That guy has the wackest voice out there. People love him. So don't be worried about how you sound. It's definitely what you're telling us that keeps us listening, y'all.
Yeah. Now, Rob, I know that you got some noise.
Meredith, did you freeze? Meredith froze.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
And she's back.
Do we want to? Yeah, sorry about that. My internet's been going in and out. It's just I'm not really happy with my cable company right now. I think I'm being throttled. But an overview of the news, because we had a pretty decent show on Friday.
Yeah, let's get to that actually. Hold on one second. Let me call it up. My internet's just acting a little funny.
There was sad news this morning. I don't know if you heard about David Prowse.
No.
Oh, yeah. Darth Vader is gone.
The actor.
The actor, yes. He passed this morning, I think, or last night sometime. 88 years old or something. But come on, man, that dude was awesome.
Yeah, people don't really never got to see him. He was supposed to be the voice, and that never happened.
But he did give us the part, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, he played the part for a long time, man. You know.
Mm-hmm.
That is sad
hopefully
news.
he'll come back in a little bit of Force Ghost form somewhere for somebody, you know.
Leave it to Pops to ruin the mood. Like, everyone was optimistic. Thanksgiving just happened. He ruins it. We didn't even start.
You know what? Just pile it on to 2020 and leave 2021 alone.
I'm all festive and everything. That just happened to go across my news feed this morning, man. You said news, so
no, you're good. You're good. I get it.
I'm actually really happy. I had a great Thanksgiving. How'd you guys do?
It was another day for me.
You know what? I had a really good day, and my family actually rented a movie theater this weekend for a screening of the Vince Vaughn movie. My internet's acting a little creepy, so it's like creeping, not creepy, creeping. Different use of the word. For some reason it's lagging a bit, so that's why I was like distracted. But no, yeah, we got the whole movie theater to ourselves. I was actually talking to my friends. I was like, we might want to do that for the Wonder Woman. Rent the theater. It's only $160. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And again, thank you for all the support and trust you have given us for the last 5 years. 5 years we've been doing this. We have celebrated 5 Thanksgivings with you. 6 technically if you go to our original site, but 5 as this current iteration, which is now going by comicbookadvocates.com. We've got a big history, and all because of you telling us where you want us to go. So thank you for all that. So let's go to the headlines over the week. And remember, you can see all the videos that we put up this week. It was a slower week. Geek Insider didn't do a lot. Neither did Comic Book Advocates. So Indie Volt showed up, did all their shows, actually. I think they hit all the markers. And you were co-hosting Geek.
Geekgasm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'll be co-hosting Geekgasm with Daphne Lage until Lola, the Indie Princess, gets back. Maybe I can convince her to come on with the shoe cam.
Okay, it's just weird, but you'll get a lot of people. Well, there's a whole subset of people that you will suddenly have show up to that show. They're not going to talk. They're just going to ask for pictures. And they might be taking some screenshots. All right, so here we go. Here's one of the headlines that made it this week, brought to you by Geek Insider. Hawkeye rumor says Clint Barton will lose his hearing. So if you're a fan of Hawkeye, this is huge news because they haven't talked about his hearing issues in over a decade, I believe, outside of Old Man Logan. It's Old Man Logan, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if they went with Wolverine. But yeah, that's the only place they've mentioned it. For those who don't know, this character was actually injured and lost his hearing and had to have hearing aids, and it became part of his actual shtick, including fighting Count Vertigo, where he was able to take out his earpieces because the bad guys didn't know that he had that. So there was a lot that you could do with that character, and also showing that, people get hurt. What they do has an effect. I think that's a brilliant idea. I think this is pretty good. What do you guys think? I'll toss it back to you guys.
I like it. As a fan, anything that stays with. I mean, like you said, that's something that's always been, you know, part of Hawkeye. Just like they just never mention it anymore. I'm glad that some writer went, hey, you guys forgot about this. Bring it back. You know, make it part of the story.
It makes the new generation or the next generation appreciate the genesis of the story.
I agree. I do think that we get lost on our way, and sometimes we get to go back to where we started, and that was one of those moments where we get to go back to where it kind of was interesting. Remember, Hawkeye was a bad guy. I know a lot of people don't realize that his origin is actually bad. And don't be surprised if you see a little bit of that in the Black Widow movie coming out.
See, I love bad guys. I love redemption stories too. So that I'm kind of looking forward to that.
I think some bad guys need to stay bad guys. I'm just saying.
Definitely. And I love when they have like that moment of redemption and then they totally revert back.
Yeah, they do it because it's the right, like the Joker. The Joker would not work with the Red Skull because he will not work with Nazis. And then he goes off and he kills someone. Like in the next, like someone unrelated, still a bad guy, but with standards. And that's why, like Magneto, when they try to make Magneto good, I grew up old school. I'm still harboring real resentment of Magneto for the Asteroid M incident where he ripped out Wolverine's antimanium. There's still bad blood between me and Magneto. I'm just saying, I'm never getting over that, Maggie. I'm never getting over that, Maggie. But, like, I mean, you have to look at it. And speaking about abusive people, Magneto, we're looking at you. This was a cool book that talked about abuse, and it made one of our headlines. This is going to be, we're waiting for permission to cover it on Backer Paws, but I thought it was awesome that you saw a book actually have the bravery to talk about domestic abuse and things like that, especially for children now. Like, we give them so much social media time that puts them through so much abuse that it is amazing that we do not talk about it more, especially parents. Parents are clueless how to talk about abuse because, honestly, some of them would have to admit that they're abusing their children, even if it meant admitting they're neglecting their children. So many parents are more interested on their Facebook scroll than their kids. And we need, this year has kind of changed that. Like, all of a sudden, these parents were like, who are these people in my living room that are normally at school? You guys are little assholes. Oh, maybe the teacher sending me the note that you're an asshole actually was, oh, maybe it's not the teacher's fault. Oh, God, what have I raised? Yeah, that's right. Those little monsters at home, those are your monsters. I'll tell you what, my son couldn't sit in a chair when he first got sent home to have homeschooling. Now he sits in chairs when he dealt with me because he wanted to go back to his teachers that he could push around instead of me being the teacher. Now he's a lot more behaved, and he sees it. The teachers will be like, they'll come out to talk to me. He's like, no, stay. He's almost trying to push them because he knows if daddy hears, there's going to be some consequences at home. Be that parent. Don't be their friends. Be the parent. You know, my son loves me, and I discipline him. He sits in corners. He gets spanked when he's a bad boy, or he does something very dangerous. The spanking I don't do often, and it's never meant to hurt him. At this point, he probably doesn't even hurt him because I don't hurt him. I hit him like I did when he was a baby. But it's that mental trigger that he's in trouble and he's getting spanked quickly that makes him realize I fucked up, and he stops and he evaluates things. You're not supposed to hurt your kid with discipline. You're supposed to educate them, teach them. And if you're going to be really mad at your kid, make sure to show forgiveness just as quickly. I think that's one thing parents do. They harbor all this anger. Anger is not going to do anything. You don't want to kill your kid's self-esteem. You have to be there to guide them through life. They don't know shit. They come out of the box not knowing anything. A lot of what they're doing is your fault. You somehow have let this happen to them, exposed them to something. Like my son, I never wanted him to be big on guns. I was going to be one of those parents. I wasn't going to expose him to guns. And then he started liking Transformers. And to me, it was fine that there were guns in Transformers. It was laser guns, right? Laser guns aren't the same thing. And it was this. Next thing I know, he's watching Call of Duty on YouTube. And I had to realize as a parent, I screwed up. I lost that battle. I'm never going to be able to not. And I think boys do inherently think guns. Like they just see them and think they're cool. There's something about it.
You have to educate them about the seriousness of the weapon. You can't just let them like them. You got to go, okay, it's cool that you like them, but this can take a life.
And yes, and it'll be something I talk with him. And I'll give it to you in 1 second, Meredith.
You definitely got to educate them about the use when they get to the right age, but definitely you have to educate them about the danger. Because,
and for me, I took away YouTube. He no longer has YouTube because he kept going back to the Call of Duty videos. Now, I'm uncomfortable playing Call of Duty. I don't care how you judge me. It is too real for me. I do not want to play a video game that gets that real, that makes me think about the family that has served, the family that in my past has died in war. I don't find it entertaining. Same as I don't find horror entertaining because I can always turn on CNN for the horror.
Yeah, I've never been a big slasher film guy because I think that gives the loonies ideas. You know, you never heard the term fatal attraction in a court case until after that stupid movie came out.
No, but there was always crazy bitches, and I mean that.
Right, but they put a name to it.
They just put a name to it. That crazy shit was there.
You know?
That crazy shit was there. I could tell you that crazy shit. Like I've read history.
It was there, but when they put a label on it, now they can point it out every time it pops up, and now it's prevalent. You know what I mean? It's like. They could have named that movie anything, and that term would have stuck to that type of crime. You know, it's crazy the influence that Hollywood has on people.
Well, I mean, is it Hollywood that has the influence, or are we the influence? Meredith, you wanted to say something about guns.
Well, no, I actually wanted to kind of circle back to, when we are as storytellers, as artists and things like that, there's a lot of screwed up stuff that goes on in our head and we put it out on paper. And sometimes it's like, oh, where did that come from? We don't know. But so when it comes to entertainment, I think as the creator, if we're going to write about topics like, Danielle Luciano is, sharing here, where she's got a book about abuse, and things like that. If you're going to broach those topics and not be so much entertainment, although it is because you are storytelling, when there's that kind of messaging, I think it's very important to address it in a real manner so that people who read it can see. They learn from it. A kid, a teenager, let's say, who grabs this book may realize, oh, those are some signs that I need to be aware of. Oh, this is happening to me. How can I address this? So there's a certain amount of responsibility, especially with, social messaging, coping, things like abuse, things like addiction, even how we handle handicaps and things. How are you depicting the other people and how they're reacting to you? How would you get yourself out of this situation and be kind of realistic about it? Because at this point, this is not fantasy, so we have to be advocates for doing the right thing as well. I think that's important. Right. And comic books, as well as movies, as well as anything that we can consume, there's a certain responsibility to that. And I do hold them to a higher standard. So, I would be, if I had this in my hand, I would probably be looking at it with a more critical eye, in the hope that, kind of like Barbara Unleashed, I will keep talking about that book because there are lessons in there. Be careful. Don't become a victim, Yeah,
and I'll say one thing about creators. It always bothers me, and Pops has seen me go after people for this. When they act a certain way, how could you be creating superhero books if all you want to do is act like a villain in real life? And I've told people, you might as well just go off and write a villain book. You don't know what being a hero is because you act so horribly. You do everything that you talk against. Like, whether you're pro-Trump or not, when you start acting like Trump, you are him. And he's a reflection of you. And I'll say this for the rest of my life. We had Trump as a president simply because he was a reflection of us. It was a time where we were watching a lot of reality television and all that. And you know what? You might see in 4 years a different Trump. Trump might change as our culture changes because he just realized he lost an election.
Yeah, but how did we get politics in here?
There's a point. Let me finish it.
Okay.
So if Trump gets changed and in 4 years you see a more intelligent version of himself, which I do think is possible, that's because our culture shifts. And we're seeing that right now where we're in a culture shift moment. No one likes Biden or Trump like that much. This isn't a JFK moment. But our culture is trying to figure out who we're going to be. Our country needs to kind of find its identity. We're not going to find that by attacking each other. So
they're
this
not giving anybody any. They're not going to give us somebody to unite under.
No, we have to unite. That's my point that I'm trying to get at right now.
They're not going to give us a figurehead to unite under. We have to do that ourselves.
Yeah, and what we need to do is start looking at the abuse that we do to each other. See, Meredith, I promised you I'd get there.
All right, because I was getting ready to do this.
Look,
no, but
I've been on the show for a while now, and you guys haven't even had to put the disclaimer up. I'm a lot better than I used to be.
But the abuse that happens between us, we all need to examine, is the point I'm trying to say. A lot of people use Trump as a reason to be nasty to other people and act a certain way. You got to stop doing that. Just because you think your side is right doesn't make you a god that gets to now kick the shit out of anyone else in the room. And that's what we do. Well, you're stupid. Well, what about this, and that? Oh, you're just a Nazi. No, you didn't listen to this, and that. Maybe this, and that had some points, and maybe we need to look at that. We have to stop this cycle of abuse that we've had. And the biggest thing I've heard is it's just online. It's not real life. Are you talking to bots or real human beings? If you're talking to bots, sure, it's make-believe. But if you're talking to a fellow human being, you're affecting them. Studies are showing that where people are less sad. I mean, me and Meredith have talked about this. The less I'm online interacting with people, the happier I get outside of positive messaging. So that's what I like to do, positive messaging. I try to stay away from drama. Now when people bring me like rumors and stuff, I'm like, I don't want to hear it. There are other sites out there that are happy to cover the rumors. Go give it to them. And I'll even tell them the sites to go to. There's even a con crud site now. I just don't want that negativity in our life. And I think books like this can inspire a change. So I really want to see the creator, because it's the creative field. Remember you said about Hollywood? I think it's us that influence Hollywood. If we don't show up to go see something, guess what? They stop making that.
Well,
the next year we don't see that.
Well, I mean, we are a consumer nation. We consume entertainment. We consume fast food. We consume the cheapest trinkets and the nicest stuff. We are a consumer nation. Whatever they put in front of us, sad to say, but there ain't a whole lot of failures out there that you see. The stuff you see is the stuff that's successful.
But like the iceberg, you only see the top of it, not the huge bottom.
Right.
You never forget that as well. You want to do some comments? We have some more comments, Meredith, piling up.
Yeah, let's see. Sarah, speaking to the bad guys, when I was saying redemption story, she said it would be weird for bad guys to become good guys. Yeah, but we love it when they go back to bad. Let's see. Cameron Christopher Payne says older should serve the younger with proper lessons. And also, we got to check our ego. Humble is what I tell myself. Yeah, and what I was saying to, the previous link there is that if you're going to be speaking about issues as far as what I mentioned, handicap, abuse, addiction, any kind of story like that, if you are putting that in a medium that perhaps younger people will see, and I mean younger like teenagers and stuff like that, then I think that there is a certain amount of responsibility that needs to go into it to be a teachable moment. Don't pander, because I think a lot of people, they maybe consider the younger generation stupid. They're not. They're watching everything we do.
Dog.
Oh, look at that.
Is that a dog?
Yeah, it's Cracker.
Now look.
She's a little older.
Cracker, saltine, what kind of cracker?
Well, she's a white dog. Maybe the name didn't age well, but it was definitely.
It looked like she might have gotten her tail stuck in an outlet or something.
No. She's got one of those little piggy tails. That one in the back. The
Is she
problem
like
is,
a Pekingese poodle mix or something?
no, she's a Maltese Pomeranian, but she's 13 now.
Oh, wow.
She's starting to get the dementia. So every so often she just cries because unfortunately both Roxy and Loki passed away, which were like
Aw.
she was like the side piece. Roxy and Loki were married, and she was like the side piece, and they had a trouble. So she lost her pack because we had 4 dogs at one point. So she's been having a rough year this year. So every so often she just starts crying, and so I picked her up to calm her down.
Well, before we get to the next news piece, I'm going to do another quick bump, and we'll be right back.
Have you ever wanted to be part of a writer's room? Come join us on Creativity in Progress every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific on Twitch and YouTube, the CIP network, where creativity comes life.
All right, we're back. So what do we have here? There's a lot of excitement surrounding the Clone Wars spinoff, The Bad Batch, and a new report claims that a fan favorite Star Wars character recently seen in The Mandalorian will be part of this series, and that is from comicbookmovie.com.
Okay, so I didn't read the story. Do they tell who the person is, or are we supposed to guess? I have a good guess.
You have to go to comicbook.com comicbookmovie.com to find out. They do say it though.
Yeah.
If you click on the link, you'll see who it is.
All right, but I'm gonna throw my guess out there anyway. It's gonna be the chick that was in the episode, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. chick. I forget her name, but she was in that one episode as a.
I forgot her name. I know who you're talking about. She was.
Yeah. Man, I'm really feeling bad that I can't remember her name, but Agent May is so cool.
Yeah, she did the Mulan voice as well. She's got a complicated name, if I remember correctly. Great actress. Yeah, she was in it.
It could be her.
It could be. I think they're referring to someone from this season. If you guys have been watching, and I don't know the lore, and me and Meredith had talked about this week on the news. I'm one of those regular Star Wars fans, and I didn't read everything. I haven't watched everything. I just grew up on it, and I have like little 22-year-olds who are like, "You're not even close to a Star Wars fan." It's like, bitch, I've been a Star Wars fan longer than you've been alive. I just ain't got
the 70s. Eat that.
Yeah, I just ain't got the disposable time you do, son. You got a lot of time.
We were talking about world building the other night on the podcast, and of course, with what happened once the EU exploded, the universe building. Okay, they build a complete universe, and now they hacked it up. They did this, they did that. But have you noticed that all the good stories are still EU stories? They're bringing the good characters out of the EU, like Thrawn, and bringing them into the canon world. It's like, yeah, you guys know you messed up. You left a whole bunch of good characters, good material when you cut the EU out. Now you bring Thrawn back in, but you can't even make him really Thrawn because he doesn't have Mara Jade at his side, because you can't bring in Mara Jade because she can't be Luke Skywalker's wife now. And, it's like they really screwed it all up,
Well, actually, I will say this. Did anyone watch the brand new, and John, I'm sorry, I love you, John Celestri. Close your ears. Did anyone watch the new Star Wars special, holiday special?
Was that new, or was that the old one?
No,
I did not watch a new one. The old one killed me. I don't think I could do a new one.
It's a Lego one.
Oh, well, I'll let the kids watch it. We'll see.
No, go watch it. I think they're testing an idea. They did time portal jumping. They introduced that into the universe now. I think they're out to get rid of Rey. I think you're going to see a revamp. I think they're going to go back. I think they're going to go back and they're going to mess with the timeline, because I think they're playing with it to see what fans will say, because they've never introduced time travel until that thing. And Disney is like, Disney's the evil man at the desk from Mad, from Go-Go Gadget. The mad guy like this, that is Disney. Everything they do has a purpose. If they fart, it is because they want to kill a flower somewhere. There is something going on. There's a choice. These people, and it's not always bad. It's not always bad. Sometimes it's good for us. But they are trying to enslave us through media. And one day we're just going to turn around. We're going to be like, wait a minute. I'm a mouse. How did I become a mouse? What's going on? But until then.
I want that on a T-shirt. By the way,
enslaved
if they fart, it's because they're killing a flower somewhere.
But it's true. So I think that there's intention. I always think there's intention. So them showing a time portal, I'm telling you, if you're a Star Wars fan and you want to reboot, here it comes. And I think
that would change a lot, and that would make. I mean, really, like I said, there was so much awesome material in the EU that they just like abandoned that they have to bring out. I mean, Wedge Antilles becomes the leader of Wrath Squadron and Rogue Squadron and all this stuff before he becomes General Antilles. There's so much they didn't do.
Yeah.
You know, that and then they cut out when they tried to make, just this is canon. No, man, it was all awesome. Don't do that. So if they want to go back and change some stuff and bring some other people in, I'm all for it.
How cool would it be if we saw Han Solo again and we saw actually Ben being a Jedi? If they did a time swap. Because he's a good actor. I think that seeing him play a completely different role would be super dope. And I know that I age myself by saying dope, but fuck millennials.
Now, you see, though, in the EU, Ben was Skywalker and he was Luke and Mara's kid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what if they did that?
There's so much they could just go back and totally.
And then Han and Leia can have the twins.
Yeah, and Anakin. Yes, they could do it right. Yeah.
Meredith's like, you guys are nerding out. I don't even know what you're talking about anymore. Okay.
You was so good. Come on, I read over 200 Star Wars books, and then they just went, none of them count. And I went like, but I have them all. What do you mean they don't count?
Well, they don't own it. Disney didn't own it. They're slowly.
I mean? It's like they just kind of went,
I assure you, they're slowly getting the rights behind the scenes for the things they want to introduce now. They're going to those novels and being like, hey, you want to be famous? Yeah. Here's a $10,000 check. Because you never got to.
Thrawn. They're going to snatch some more guys out of the EU. I know.
That's going to happen. And EU, by the way, for those listening, extended universe.
Yes.
For anyone who doesn't know the lingo. But we're going to move topics so Meredith stops looking at us like we're giant nerds, which, by the way, I am.
I love the original Star Wars. You know, I grew up in the 70s. That was it. All of this new stuff and the prequels and stuff like that, they can, kiss my ass. It killed it for me. I was just like, nope, not doing it.
Now this is a big one. I want to know what you guys feel about this. I'm a huge fan of this. Comic industry, and we're hearing a lot of pros say this year, and there's still... You have all these people like, I like my ongoing series. When was the last time you bought a book? Oh, in the 80s. Fuck you, you like an ongoing series. You don't. You'd still be buying it.
Well, we had a really good conversation on Friday with C. Michael Lanning, and we were kind of going back and forth. So miniseries or ongoing books?
Well, it doesn't say choose. It says it needs to do more miniseries, less ongoing. So basically the idea, what they're trying to say, have a couple of your titles. Like Batman, you have to have Batman. But instead of having 10 Batman books, have one Batman ongoing series and do mini-series throughout the year. Different stories that are interesting. And instead of having them be events, have them be self-contained mini-series that maybe have fallout in the ongoing series. But something that you can pick up and put down, and it's an entire story. Because a lot of what these crossovers, you have to get 52 books, and then you have to go back and go to back issues to understand who these characters are. By the time you're done, it's just impossible. You're done. Unless they're trying to do the streaming apps, which is smart if you actually make sure everything is on the streaming app for free as part of the subscription. If you're listening, Disney and DC, there you go. But what do you think, Pops? You're a fan. You're actually, you branded yourself as the fan of comics. Do you like miniseries over ongoing series that just make you buy book after book that doesn't give you a story? Like what Tom King, I hate to pick on you, but 100 issues to tell one story, dude? Come on now.
Well, I mean, it's even the long ones have story arcs. I mean, you look at Thor, he's over 700.
They have the mini games inside.
story arcs. My problem is the crossovers that cross into 45 different titles. I don't buy all them titles. I'm not going to. I don't care how good the story is. You're not gonna get me to buy something I really don't care about just because there's 3 panels in it that have to do with a story in the ongoing series that I read. If you want to bust out, like you said, with storylines, miniseries storylines, that's way better than the ridiculous crossovers. Way better. Then you can bring some of them other characters into that miniseries, whatever you want to do. But you don't have to make it so that we have to buy 16 different titles, 3 books of each of those 16 different titles, when we only read 3 of those titles. You know what I mean? It's like it takes it out. But I love world building. I love a continuation. That's why I brought up Star Wars earlier, because it's been something that's been constant in my life forever. People keep doing more and more and more cool stuff, and the story's never ending. I'm going to die, and there's going to be new Star Wars stuff coming out after I'm dead. I'm not going to get to see it. That's exciting. Who knows you know what I mean? It's never ending. So miniseries on the side here and there, great, but I still want my cake and eat it too, I guess.
You should. That's the option here. You could have both. One thing I did like that they did in the 90s that I don't see anymore is they passed the story from one comic to another. So when they used to do crossovers in the 90s, you'd start the story in X-Force number 11, and go to Spider-Man like 148. But by the time you got out of Spider-Man, you went to X-Force 12. It was over. They quickly talked about it, and that was it. It had just wrapped itself up. So if you didn't get the Spider-Man, they gave you a quick wrap-up, and then you're on your way. And if you did get the crossover, you got to experience Spider-Man for a single issue, and maybe you'll check him out. Maybe you like the writer on the book.
Back in the day, they did the crossovers where it was 2 titles. Like what my first experience in comics was the Avengers Defenders crossover in the 70s, where they fought each other over the Evil Eye. And the first comic book that got my attention was Defenders 10, which was Thor and Hulk on the cover fighting it out. Okay, so that was the first one that ever got my attention. And I became a comic fan instantly and ran from spinner rack to spinner rack trying to find all those back issues of those 2 books, because that was the climax of the story. So I had to go find the back issues of Avengers and the back issues of Defenders, probably 5 different stores, 20 different spinner racks I dug through, because that's how you bought comics back then. They didn't have comics to the drugstore.
It's a goal of mine to have spinner racks at conventions one day. They're expensive as hell, but like with Terraform, that is the goal, to put our books on proper spinner racks.
Yes.
And have people come up to us from the spinner racks. That is a goal. You can't do it as an artist alley table, but as an actual publisher, we will eventually be forced to get a publisher booth, which are big enough to support the spinner racks. But I might even get a smaller spinner rack. I have them in plastic right now for magazine racks that I've used in the past. I'm like, Pops, I think they should be back at the smaller stores as much as possible. But it also comes down to doing newsprint again. They have to reverse and do the affordable all ages version of your books. And that's what DC has to do next year, and Marvel does too. Go ahead, Meredith.
Well, I was curious to know your thoughts about the miniseries and the ongoing books thing. In my opinion, I think it's kind of geared toward the different age groups. I think because for me, I love the ongoing books as long as I've been following it, and if I can find the first issues and continue on with the story. I also like the standalones because they are, I like to be able to pick up a book and make sure that I know that story arc from start to finish. I don't want to have to pick up the previous book. Sometimes it's a budget thing. But I'm thinking with the miniseries, I'm wondering if that is, if that might often be geared toward a more younger reader, because again, that maybe that attention span and that idea of maybe they haven't developed
the need for
the fanaticism towards certain characters, so it's just like quickly, like a fairly quick read instead of like maybe, who knows, like a decades-long series.
Well, I had said this on Friday. Kickstarter and Indiegogo have proven that people don't need a full story. They want an entertaining story. They want something that excites them. That's what they're after. And we've forgotten that in creating comics. We're so eager to, I guess, just toe the line that we have forgotten to look at things for what they are and how exciting they can truly be. And I'm very disappointed in that fact. I'm disappointed that people don't necessarily, I guess, remember what it was to be a comic. Like Pops was saying, you used to be able to go and pick up a book and be entertained by a book. You got a book. Now it feels like you have a puzzle piece. And I don't think that they understand that. You're being handed a puzzle piece that you're forced to then complete. The casual fan, and I've said this, does not want to be part of your puzzle. They want to pick up a book and be entertained in that moment. Do that for them. Meredith, it's a genius thing you said. If only they're listening, they should absolutely do that. Age group these books. So your ongoing series, which should be for an older market. Your older market's going to be the one to show up at comic book shops a lot more often. A younger kid should be able to pick up a book and be entertained by it, same as the casual fan. And your extreme books, like for pure adult, should go straight graphic novel. Should be straight graphic novels. So you'd have like the teen and above being the ongoing series, graphic novels for the more adult thing. I think it's a great idea of what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, and Sarah says that she agrees with me having to hunt down the first book and get the other books in the order they were written. I think we, as older people, either have the money to do that and the patience.
Yeah.
There are a lot of times that I've bought a book not realizing it was the second or third book in, not necessarily comics, I'm talking about actual books, but I'll
Drives
realize
you crazy, right?
the second or third book in a series, and I'll be like, damn, I can't read this yet.
Yep.
So I have this box over here, maybe 2 or 3 of them, that are just uncompleted trilogies or whatever that I can't read until I have all the books that go with it. Because I'm anal like that. I got to start at the beginning. It's really hard when you're a collector because you have to pick like okay, let's say Thor, for instance. I picked the number 300 and I started collecting backwards and forwards. Okay. Because at the time when I started doing this again for the 4th time, I think he was at 600 at the time. So I went right in the middle. I'm start going backwards and forwards, getting them all. Going backwards ain't near as fast as going forwards. I'm telling you.
I feel you, Pops.
It's hard. It's hard. That stuff is expensive now. And it's not that I just want to read it. I want to own it. I'm a collector too. I'm a fan. I'm a collector. But the story is always what brings me back to book 2. Or book 3 or book 4 or whatever. The art can be amazing. I love art, obviously. It's all over my walls. But the story is what's going to bring me back. I'm going to buy your first book and I'm going to read it. And if I like it, then I'm going to be trying to buy your second book. But if I don't like it, there's no amount of art that's going to make me buy the second book unless you put me on the cover. It's got to be a good book. Put together a good book. That's all.
Rob, what's the next story that we can talk about here?
Well, this was just the headline. It's not the actual story about King Black that's important. And like I did, hashtag back issues matter. Again, this is not meant to be a swipe at Black Lives Matter at all. It is merely a clever way to identify something here. Do not twist it. I know you some of you on the internet spend all your days locked in your basement trying to find something to be upset about. I can give you that. This is not one of your moments. Wait for it, and it will come. Back issues matter. It's true. This is a moment where a character that was obscure, that hadn't done anything in decades, is suddenly a new menacing figure. And people are like, oh my God, I need to get the back issue. And I love that. I love it. So I want to talk about that. Like Pops was saying, sometimes you get into something and you're chasing it. I know a few people who are trying to complete a full collection. I know I can't remember what Travis is collecting. Travis is collecting one of those books from beginning to end. But I know Joel Rodriguez, who does Dust County Chronicles, he does something else. I forget the title. Either way, he's trying to collect all the Spawn run, which I thought was like, wow, there's something to try to really get. And I have thousands of comic books in my home, thousands. I'm not kidding. So the collecting is definitely something. Like, I'm just poor now, so I haven't filled a long box in a year. But once money comes back in, there'll be more long boxes being filled.
Okay, I'm going to throw this out there because you brought it up. I have a few that I have finished, a few runs I've finished, a few I'm working on. But my son has, I think, all but 3 issues of every appearance of Venom. I think there's only 3 he doesn't have. The Sinners number 4 or number 3, I think he doesn't have. There's only a couple that he doesn't have. He has almost every single comic with Venom in it. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's impressive. Did he get the original black suit, or did he only start when it was Venom?
I have the original black suit to give him. There you go. It's signed by Mike Zack. It's back there on the wall.
Well, yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one for that collection. Yeah. Meredith, what about you? Have you ever read a comic and been like, "Ooh, I need to know more about this," and actually gone backwards and tried to fulfill the story to know more?
You know, the only collection that I had really pursued when I was younger, and I'm talking like high school and college days, was the Star Wars series. I mean, I was really going hard and heavy trying to find every single one of those issues for a collection. And then, you know, I went to college and it went up into the attic, and Mom decided that she needed to clean the house. And cleaned out the attic too, so they're all gone. They're all in a landfill somewhere, and it just broke my heart. I haven't really had the heart to chase down other characters or even try and recreate that collection. But little by little, I am paying more and more attention to the indie creators. And you know, if you look behind me, I've got like boxes of crowdfunds that I've supported that I need to get to. But you know, when it comes to any one series, not yet. You know, there isn't any one character or any one backstory that I've found. I am looking for those though, because I do love falling in love with characters.
Now, my spidey senses tell me it's probably time to take a break.
Yes, let me pop in here with a quick bump here. Here we go. All right, we'll be right back.
This is the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Also catch us on the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel. Subscribe today and become part of the legend.
And we're back.
All right.
So Rob, did you have any final thoughts on the back issues and things? What characters or what books have you been kind of collecting?
First off, as far as back issues go, I have so many back issues. I wake up every day in so much pain. It's horrible. It's horrible. I have so many. Kidding around aside, I have the original run of X-Force up until like I think 50, which is actually worth. I'm told is worth a lot now. Which I thought
X-Force number 1 came out with all the different cards, right?
Yeah.
In the back. Okay, 5 different cards. Then they had 3 different UPC codes. They had a black on white cap, a white on black cap, and the direct code.
Yeah.
So it's 15 different ways you can get issue 1. Okay. I have like 8 of them. I'm trying to get them all. I'm trying to get each card with each UPC label. So when you think about how many of those they put out, and then you think if you break it down, there was only so many of the white on cap UPCs with the Deadpool card. There's only so many with the Cable card. You know, when you break it down, it's not that big as everybody makes it out to be. I want them all. I want every version of that #1 comic.
Yeah, but I have the
I have quite a few of the run, but I want all them #1s too.
what I have is Deadpool. And I did this thing as a comic book fan and collector. I bought one book I read and one book I stored. The minute I bought it, it went into the bag and board. So I literally have a lot of those books bag and boarded. I lost some during tragedies, but yeah, I have the original. And I didn't like Deadpool when he first showed up. He wasn't.
That's my box. That's my Deadpool box.
Yeah.
3 Venom boxes, a whole bunch more boxes down there, filing cabinets, boxes over there. Yeah, I know what you mean about thousands of bag issues.
Yeah. So our next topic, though, because we'll geek out if we don't move, and we're actually running out of time. Meredith was worried about this show being short, and I'm like, please. This show is anything but short. This show never has a tendency to wrap up quickly. This one's important. Get an education, read these books, and watch these videos. We're going to be building this base. Of course, we have our Comic Book Advocates YouTube channel, which literally has thousands of 1,000 hours at this point of content, and has hundreds of videos for you guys to get an education for, learn things, and all that. Some books I think are worthwhile. We're not going to go into the programming today, but it was definitely a headline that was worth talking about this week. As I redid it, made it easier. It directly goes to Amazon. You don't have to buy it from Amazon. Copy and paste and buy it from whoever you want. But yeah, this is it. Get an education, read these books, understand not only creating, but the history of comics as well.
Sarah would love to know about the Deadpool comics. How long of a series is it, or is it still ongoing?
Just start with New Mutants 98 and go from there.
I don't know if he has an ongoing series at the moment. I think they keep kind of breaking it and restarting it and renaming it.
That's what they do with Deadpool. It's somebody, every time a new writer comes up with an idea that sells, then they let them go for a little while.
Yeah. So this week's crowdfunder to back was Talos, and we're actually going to take a minute to bump that video.
Yes.
Here it is. And Sean, I love you, but you go way too long. So we're just going to give you about 20, 30 seconds here in a bit.
I see all things, past.
Bet she didn't see that coming. All right, so what's the New Day reveal? Gears of War at Survivor Series. Of course, you can check out Talos. I love you, Sean, but that video just takes too long. It affects my ADHD in bad ways. It touches in no spots unwelcomely. So go to Kickstarter now and see Talos. It is a great project, though. If you're into men in what are they called? The togas? And all oily and sweaty and muscular, this is the book for you. This is it. Collect it now. The New Day. This is just a quick moment that was cool. Wrestlers are now are characters in a video game, and what's cool is that they also give love a lot of times to comic books. These guys go on their podcast and talk about how much comics have influenced their life, especially Xavier, the leader of the New Day. So I thought it was cool, and it's the wrestling fan in me. And then we took Wednesday off. That's right, we took it off. So here you go, the rainbow. Catch the rainbow, right? I love rainbows. I don't care what it says about me. I'm good with it. Black Lightning ending after season 4. What can you talk about? It's over. We'll see what comes next. There's not a lot there to talk about. Back issues matter. It was twice because I did it that way. No, the site glitches from the blocks. It redoes things. And Terraformed, continuing, we talked a little bit about this. This is about creating a library. This is about creators coming together, forgetting about all the nonsense that stops us from creating, and just creating. just doing the creations. I don't know if people will get paid for certain things. They might or might not. The end result is to get content out there and to have it be part of like almost a Library of Congress for comic independent creators who are just creating things. Cool thing is they keep the rights to everything they create, and Terraform keeps the ability to print it forever. So if you sign your character to be Marvel, Marvel will come have to knock on our door and be like, hey, we want you to stop printing that. Well, are you going to pay us to stop printing it? We'll have to sell that right to do it, and we'll probably not. We'll probably be like, no, this library is more important than you, Marvel. However, we can kind of, let you use it if you want to. And of course, they'll be able to use it as the creator. But, you don't try to burn bridges. You always try to play nice. Find a way. But if you're serious about creating, become a creator of the Terraform Continuum. Go ahead, Meredith.
Well, and I wanted you to kind of speak on the first issue that we are working on, actually.
What can I say about it?
We're hoping to have that put together basically by end of December and starting to crowdfund. That's one. And February. We've got maybe...
I would say February for crowdfunding. In all honesty, I don't like to rush. I don't want to put it in a place where I can't speak to it. So I'm publicly saying February. I'd like to go sooner. I'd always like to go sooner because I have ADHD. The quicker I can do something, the better. But for now, just being, I definitely think February is going to be a place. We have a story from me. We're going to have some art from Luke Stone. Meredith's going to make her debut as a creator in this. So it's exciting times for certain. Because nothing is done yet, and I'm a big fan of once it's done, you talk about it. And before it's done, you don't talk about it, almost like it's a jinx. Like, I'm not one of those people who tries to hide it. I'm just like, shh.
Well, we could also talk about the group, though. We are inviting creators into the group. So it's a private group. So, it's by invitation, or if you've heard about it and you want in. And
you can find it too. You can just look it up, and there's questions you can answer, and those questions will get you access or not. If you tell me you came to promote your book, look, Pops has a group, a perfectly good group for promotion. He wants you to come to his group and promote. Go to Pops's group and do that. Do not come to a space that we have designed for creators to try to sell your wares to us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're actually, because of that group is how C. Michael Lanning and I have started to collaborate on a story that we're going to be submitting. So it's really cool. If you're looking to collaborate, if you're looking for story building, if you're looking for feedback and things like that, that's the place to go.
And the madness isn't just about promotion. It's also about networking. Lots of people meet in the madness and end up doing stuff together or putting their books in somebody's shop or whatever. It's about exposure, really. The madness is mainly about exposure.
But you do allow them to pitch their books, right?
I want them to expose them. I want expose
yourself.
As much exposure as possible. Even the podcasters. I even encourage them to come out and make sure people know about their podcasts and bounce those audiences off each other and those fan bases off each other too, because that's how our fan bases build, by being exposed to other fan bases. I might like that too.
For the record, Terraformed is not meant to be that, guys. That's kind of the point we're trying to.
That's right there. Self-promotion not welcome within.
Yeah, it's not.
Right there.
It's meant to be a space where this is, so many places out there, and we do too. The Comics Newswire, it's a place for promotion. Not every place can be for promotion. Thank God we're no longer just adding people to groups. I hated that time period a few years ago. And I used to get added to groups all the time, and I wouldn't care. I would just, promote what I wanted to promote that day, because people were adding me to groups without my permission, and that does kind of bother me. I don't like that. Invite me, yes. Do not just add me. And you can't do that anymore. That has changed. So that's no longer even an option because they took it away, thank God. This is a one group where I don't want to hear about, because we want to actually talk about the creative process. I don't want to know what your Kickstarter is. Don't give me your lame, I've put this in a dozen other groups bullshit. If you want to really engage with us, stop and go, hey guys, I have this Kickstarter. Could you please look it over? Tell me if you see anything. If you did that, I'd let that post go, because that's an educational moment where we could all talk about things. realize where you are. Don't put me and I have it where even my Great-A-Con, which is about conventions, which has been put in mothballs this year, people are trying to promote their Kickstarter, and I'm like, what about Great-A-Con makes you think this is a place for a Kickstarter? Please explain so I can change that abruptly. You know,
we have backer pause.
Yeah,
you're more than welcome to submit your Kickstarter or your Indiegogo to backer pause.
And we also took Thanksgiving off because it was Thanksgiving.
And I wanted to pop this up here too. You know, Sarah says you guys were genius for creating Terraform. You know, we are creators who wanted to put together a publishing company for creators by creators. And, you know, we only launched in, was it June or July, Rob? I can't remember which one it was. But, you know, here's the thing. As a youngling company, we have made some mistakes. I'm going to put that out there. We made some mistakes, but we have pivoted to do this thing with a continuum. There are other things that are in the works that we can't talk about right now because they're not quite ready. But these are all things where we have a future plan, and it's really exciting, and you guys should definitely tune into Terraform. Go over to the website, sign up for the newsletter. Actually, right now it's just a mail list. We haven't actually started with a newsletter at this point in time. That's going to change in 2021 as we start releasing things like Continuum and this anthology series, and really highlighting a lot of the creators who are part of the process.
Sorry, Jax needed me for a second. To answer your question, we were talking about it all the way back in what had to be the end of April, early May. And this idea, it's nothing new. I didn't come up with anything. This is everything a lot of creators have always talked about creating. I just finally was like, you know, we made a couple missteps, like Meredith said, and I said, it's time that someone did this, and let's be the person who did it. Let's be the beacon. Let's be the light. And it's not going to be easy. There's not going to be a lot of money in it. There's not going to be this giant wave of awesomeness that happens. But I think, and the goal is 100 issues. As much as I make fun of Tom King, it's an ambitious number. So if I can get 100 issues of this, and I've said it, don't care where I am in life, I'm always going to look back and help this project get to 100 issues. That is my goal in life. And like Pop said, if this could continue beyond me, that would be an impressive feat that I would be very proud of. Because this should become a library of creation. Because we don't see that anymore. We just don't see creators coming together to create things. It's never really happened. And again, because we're letting everyone own this, no one has to feel like they don't do it. As far as our show, sorry, I have so many things open, and I noticed the time. So we'll skip over a couple of these and just get to the better parts of it, because we only have about 20 minutes left. Star Wars, The Mandalorian Boba Fett spinoff. There's going to be a prequel, not an actual sequel. That's kind of cool. We'll have to see what they do with that. Christmas is here. This is me and Jax putting up the tree. The official holiday season has begun, as Jax riles everybody up. Yep, there you go, Charlie Brown. Christmas, which will be on PBS, like anyone's going to watch PBS. And can you smell the plastic on the balloon? The Rock in a fanny pack balloon debuts at the Thanksgiving Day parade. But the cool thing about this was it also signaled that The Rock was going to be having a new series about his younger life, which there's a lot that he went through that I think can be educational for people. So I'm kind of excited about that. And finally, our Friday headlines for the week. The elevator pitch. Here we go. Elevator pitch your book. This is it. Again, so many people do a horrible job. We had a lot of great people in this thread. Seriously, check this thread out. A lot of good people spent some time giving some really good elevator pitches. Let's take a quick look, because I did want to stop here, because I know this is something true and dear to Pops' heart, and you guys can see. Now, I was taught that you want to have about 2 to 3 sentences per elevator pitch. So here, fresh from the microwave, Max, PI, Mutant Hamburger, Private Investigator, available soon on Indiegogo. The only thing you need to do is sign up for the email list. Well, it's not really an elevator pitch, so we're going to move on.
Yeah, that was, again, like that whole buy, you know, come see, and it's not telling me what the story is about.
I wonder if I should kick that out because it didn't do an elevator pitch. Seasons is planned 4 volumes. See, right here, I don't need the 4-volume thing, Nandor. This I would think is almost hard, but we'll let it keep going. So it's a planned 4-volume graphic novel series that takes place over a year of a young man's life. With each passing season, Fletcher, Hart, Liam gains a new set of incredible powers to overcome the challenges and enemies in his personal path of self-discovery and meaning. I'd rather him talk to me about the seasons. What are the differences in the seasons? For the elevator pitch, I'd rather hear that. How the seasons change and how they affect them.
But this is only number 2, and he doesn't want to go too far into what's coming, but he does talk about what's in the book seasons 1 as he's bringing up, season 2. I had him on, talked with him for about a half hour during the last con. Nice young kid, great plan. I hope that story takes off for him. I really do.
Meredith, you can read this one. I know you like this one.
Oh, let me see here. Grain is from the vast unknown, not somewhere or some when, but somehow he and his cosmic bubble return to Earth in search for answers, realizing that things will never be the same again.
That's one of those that you have to practice in the mirror. I can tell, I've had a couple pitches where I don't practice in the mirror, but I say them out loud in my house as I'm walking around and doing something, because you have to feel natural. Because, that has a great wordplay on it. I love the fact that not somewhere or somewhen, but somehow. It's a great line, but you will stumble on it if you're not used to it, and you'll misplace the words. I'm not going to pick on everybody, because I don't. This isn't meant to be like, elevator back or pause. I'm just.
Let me do Russell's. All
right, here you go. You need me to highlight it, or can you read it?
Oh, I got it. Check out Xenonanotite, Titan, The Fall Before the Rise, part 1 of a trilogy, a 200-page sci-fi novel about a man thrown into hardship, but is given the tools to become a hero. When he loses it all, can he become the hero that the Earth needs, or will he be the reason it fails? Find out in this epic adventure with 11 pieces of art as chapter illustrations from an array of phenomenal artists. Everything is done and ready to print. Check it out at
Kickstarter. Now that was pretty good.
I remember when
I gotta ask Pop, what's this mean? Find out in this epic adventure with 11 pieces of art.
Each chapter has an illustration.
So this isn't a comic book. This is a novel.
It's kind of, I don't know. It's a novel. It's a sci-fi novel.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear to the listening audience, because we do a lot of comic books. Nothing wrong with it.
He's been working on that for a long time too. I'm really glad to see this is going to print for him, man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Meredith had actually asked me how Kickstarter does with novels, so I told her I honestly hadn't really followed a lot of them. He has a $6,000 goal. That's a goal for
See, this is something that you guys are killing yourselves on. For me, looking at it from the fan point of view, it's like set a small goal, get funded, and then boost your push that. Look, we're already funded, and go. Not stress on it for 30 days trying to get funded. You guys are killing yourselves with these high goals. I mean, I understand it costs money to print. I understand that, but as more people back it, you'll have the money to print it.
I do agree with Pops to a certain degree. You can't go too low unless you don't want to be taken as serious for crowdfunding. Like when I do a reprint of a book, and I've done it a couple times where we change a cover or something like that, or it's an experimental book. I'll start a goal at $350, $500. And I'll just get the money, like Pop said, get the money, make your nut, and then if you want to do more, do your stretch goals.
Yes.
If you want to be taken a little more seriously as a comic book, I would say around $2,000.
$2,000 is the way to go. $1,500, $2,000, $2,500, but don't beat yourself to the point where you're sweating it out on the last 3 days.
Exactly.
It's like I'm watching guys get gray before my eyes. Come on, y'all, you're supposed to be having fun.
Yeah.
And that's the thing
with the goal.
Right. And if he had set the goal to like 2,000 or even 2,500, he would have been either at goal or really close to it. And then, because your goal is in your head on your paperwork is like, hey, I want $6,000. That's great. But reach that goal so that at least you get that funding. Then you can go to your audience and say, hey,
this is what I'm trying to say. It's so much easier when you're out there and you're happy and you're like, this is going to print, y'all. Get on board. We funded. We're going to print. Get on board. Then will you guys please back this so we can get it funded so we can get to print? One sounds way better than the other as a salesman. Lower
Yes.
those goals, guys. Don't beat yourself up.
I mean, and there is that fine line of being realistic too, because
Well,
there are
I'm
a
not
lot of
saying
people like,
$500.
right,
I mean, I totally agree with Rob.
because
but
the three
I'm
of
just
us,
saying.
we kind of pay attention to those things. Rob especially, where you're like, okay, wait, what are your costs? Because he has a really good idea how much it costs to print.
All right, Meredith, real quick. Varian, if your mic's working, come on in anyway. Sorry, Meredith. I just wanted him to know. But I do want to say this. I don't understand novels enough. This goal seems high. I don't understand the novel market, but I think that you've overestimated your reach.
Well, see, now
Well, I
for
mean,
for
you
me,
still got 18 days to go. It's not.
yeah,
It's not
Yeah, but-
unreachable.
Okay, but
But he's got to work to
But
get to
remember,
that goal.
I know, but the one thing I know pops over anyone else is crowdfunding. I know it better than most because I've studied it. And you've talked about this, and I know the trends, and I see it. He's made $2,000 with 35 backers. That's not sustainable. He cannot keep up at that pace. You know that. So that means even if he got another 100 backers for a novel, and you look at the novel thing, and I quickly looked, and I can tell you right now, first off, he's charging $10 for a digital copy of the novel. That's a bad business move. I can tell you right now, if Russell, you're watching, no one's paying $10 to read your novel. With 60.
Well, some people do.
Well, that's true. 7 backers did. But that shows you. You could have 7 backers. You could have 25 backers. Remember, on Kickstarter, everyone who backs you sends out a signal to everyone who follows them. You get more backers that way. You're limiting your thing right there. That should be a $5 at most book. Look at Kindle. Remember, you're competing with Kindle right now. Kindle's not selling any of these books for $10 digitally. That's a mistake. Second mistake, $30 for a soft cover version. Seriously?
how many pages is it?
200 pages.
But it's all print.
Yeah, I know. I'm seeing this. This is the first time I'm looking at it, and
That's
I mean,
you're not going to get anyone to back you.
now see, he does say once the trilogy is complete, he plans to run a short comic book series based on it, but that's down the road, and we're talking about what we're selling today. So, like I said, that the goal is harsh. The goal is harsh, but I mean,
Hardcover for 40. What do you see? This is the unrealistic moment, and it's not pooping on anyone. It's just realistic. Would you pay $40 for your own book? And me and Meredith have been in a room and had the fight about pricing our comics at Terraform. So she knows that I'm an advocate for, yes, understanding it has to cost more versus other people who want a lower cost point. And I said, I'm fine with the lower cost point when you can bring my cost down. Get me a printer who can bring my cost down. I'm happy to lower my comic book price. I know I've debated doing a novel. There is no reason it should cost $40. You're going to have backers look at this and go, I'm not paying you to do this. Because that's what this is. I'm literally not just paying you for the work, but I'm also paying you extra. I'm giving you a bonus.
He's also got 15 backers on this.
No, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, so people are paying attention, but this is what I was saying the other day. I don't remember which broadcast it was, but you have to. Those might be your backers who are in your inner sanctum, all right, your inner circle. Now the challenge is to reach the people beyond them.
yeah.
How many of their friends are paying attention to your stuff?
Not just that. I'm going to spend $40 on one Kickstarter, and that's my nut for the month. Or I can go out.
That's my problem. That's what my problem is. I don't have the funding I can't even look at this book and look at some of the comics that I want and be able to appease myself by getting them all. I have to pick and choose. I have to be really picky.
Yeah, and look at the competition right below here, where I could be spending that $40. That's why I hate Indiegogo. On Indiegogo, one of the things that people are doing is not offering digital comics. I think it's a huge mistake. I think that it's all, I don't want anyone stealing my book. Please steal my book. Have millions of people read it. There are 352 million Americans alone. Please, 1 million people read my book and talk about how great it is and tell all your friends so I can get a movie made of it. Are you kidding me? Steal that shit all day long. I am known at SCAD, the South Carolina Art School, for my book. Well, at the time, it was the original Fetish Babies. I had a teacher come up to me and tell me her whole class had loved it. I sold one book in South Carolina. They had taken my PDF and shared it throughout the classroom. Was I pissed? No. I was like, a teacher, a literal teacher, bought a copy of my book because of all of our kids talking about it. That is how it happens, people. So I'm sorry. Russell, if you're listening, and if you're listening to me, Russell, I'm not coming down on you to hurt you. I want you to hear me and relook at this. If you want to make this goal, you got to become more reasonable real quick. I don't care if you give yourself like a holiday special 24 hours that just for special people, this is going to be the thing. Get it affordable, dude. No one's going to spend this much on your book, not because they don't like you, because we all got bills. We're not high rollers. You need whales on this. And you need to have exclusive art prints to try to get something like this done. You've reached 2,000, but you're asking for 6. You're going to struggle if you don't find a way to get a lower tier in here.
I did notice he's got some good artists on this that did these illustrations, and they should be pushing this book to their fan bases as well.
But the same artists are on constant books.
Oh, I know.
They've kind of washed themselves out of being able to really draw at this point because of how often. They have given themselves backer fatigue. None of these artists have thought about that, and I've heard people talk about it. It's the same group of artists on all these Kickstarters, and you're seeing that's the Wendy Shaner group. They are all Tom Hutchinson, Big Dog. They're kind of all one little click over there, and you got another little click over there, and another little click over there, and it's like it's working in their little bubble, but their bubble's not growing because the same people are in their bubble, and the bubble's popping. Because you're doing it too often. And me and Meredith have talked about the dangers of backer fatigue. You can't expect people to constantly pay you to do what you want to do, especially at these exuberant rates. We saw Marvel literally fail. Pops just talked about the X-Force and how many different versions with the different cards there were that all led to the end. And now independent creators have taken that model, forgetting the failure, and now trying to implement it across all these different books. And the artists are getting paid no matter what. So nothing but love for them. I'm not coming down on them. But if they're on every book, every week, every Kickstarter, it stops being special. And that's what you're seeing with some of these artists. And
I know quite a few that fall right in there that are just on everybody's book now. There's a variant of them on everything. And it's like, hey, I have one book with his art on it.
Yeah.
Enough.
But you'd also get to the point here where they're going to be like, no, I'm not paying $40 for this, dude. I don't care how good your art is. I just backed 5 other books. I'll get you next comic book for $10 with your alternate cover, and I'll just go there.
You know what was really great? The deal of the year was what Travis did with Cthulhu and Oz, the mystery bundle. Deal of the year, man. You get his book and 3 other signed books from crowdfunds in the past year or 2. You know, a great price. You're getting 4 signed books. Deal of the year, no doubt. And I loved it. And that's what we're talking about. Make it bigger. Make what you do, especially if you got a high goal. You got to come out and sell now. You're not going to get to $6,000 if you don't come out and sell hard.
And you know what, Russell, if you're tuning in, you know, the 3 of us here, we are advocates for comic books and creators, and we want to see you succeed. I mean, I will get you on a show. I'll get you on a couple of shows if that'll help. You know, we'll write about it, send me a press release, or put it out on Geek Insider. We want to see you succeed, but we also see a lot of the hurdles that you probably put up for yourself in order to make that happen. Now, I want to speak to Sarah here. She says, not allowing digital comics? That's crazy. We live in a digital world. Physical copies are good, but digital is a whole other audience missing out if it's not available. And, you know, the pushback, I think, with a lot of creators, and to what Rob was saying earlier, is that people are afraid that you get the PDF copy. It's very easy to email that to your friends, and then you're losing out on those sales. The point of that is, and I agree with Rob and with Pops as well, is that, you know, you have that audience. They get the PDFs, they share it around. So what? You know what? If they find out that you're at a Comic-Con, maybe they'll come to your table. Maybe they'll seek you out and go, I want the physical copy now. Can you sign that for me, please?
Yeah. What if they share that PDF with me and I'm a collector? I want it on the wall.
Yeah.
I don't want the PDF. You know, I mean, I'm going to read it and I'm going to be like, all right, that's cool. But now how do I get the piece that I want? You know, if I never saw it, I wouldn't buy it. You know,
and to end it, because we are coming at the end of the store, end result here, guys, is if you're overcharging for your PDF, people are going to get turned off. That's it. They're going to be like, I can go to Kindle and get 10 books, and literally they're on the 99 cents for a book. I get 10 books for your one book. Why am I going to invest in something I don't know? I've never read your stuff, especially because he's new. You have to take the hit. You have to. And creators do this a lot. I see a lot of them come out and expect, like, they move too quickly to try to make too much money when they haven't earned it yet. And people have even said, why do I ask for so little money? Because I just want people to read what I create. End of day, that's it. I want people to read. I don't care if I undervalue my stuff or I undercharge in certain areas. Happy to do it. Go ahead. I know you want to read this.
Yeah, Nita Lanning says, I always want physical copies. I want to touch them and smell them. That's just me, not including digital. You miss a huge audience. I love physical books. That's why, you know, when I do a crowdfund, most of the time I get a physical copy. I want to flip the pages. I love that. It's very tactile to me, you know, because I'm on the computer all the time. It's the last thing I want to do is relax with a tablet and, you know, scrolling through more. So, but that's me. I get it.
All
Rob,
right.
you want to take us out?
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap us up right now with the stories we didn't get to talk about, but we're at the end, so it worked out perfectly. Greg Capullo goes back to the Spawn franchise. For those who don't know, he worked on it before he was at DC. This was a positive message I want to leave you guys with this week. Remember, a bad storm can end with a rainbow. No matter how rough this year has been, your next rainbow is on the way. And thank you for being part of this. The Indie News can be found in the Comic Book Advocates Network group, which is now called the Comics Newswire. We're just not changing the graphic here because I think the graphic's cool. Thank you for the Indie Vault and Geek Insider connection that we have, helping us with all these programmings and doing all the things that we do. Make sure to subscribe to our sites, both Indie Comic Book Advocates, which you can get to now by going to the comicsnewswire.com, and a Geek Insider. That's it. We're going to let Pop say his goodbyes. Tell him how you can find his group.
Comic Related Madness on Facebook. Next week, CromCon 9, the elevator pitch. There are only 4 spots left. I think they're going to drop a link in the announcements page where you can go sign up if you're interested. Hey,
sharing your link right now.
You know.
All right, Meredith, run that bean footage. We'll see you during the week.
All right. Well, Rob, you want to tell people where they can find you?
They know. I never have to. They know.
Oh, they know. Yeah. And guys, you can follow me also at geekinsider.com. Make sure that you head over there, hit the subscribe button, go to YouTube channel, check out all the YouTube channels of all of us. You can find us all over the social media. I am trying to find that outro.
I got it.
I really like for
You
you
got
guys
it?
to consider being in one of the panels next weekend.
I will reach out to you because if I don't
subject of elevator pitches.
If I don't eat soon, I'm gonna get hangry.
All right. Well, here's the outro, and we'll see we'll see you sometime during the week, and make sure to definitely support your fellow creators during this holiday season, even if it's by sharing. And if you're a fan, we love you.